Welcome back to the SEANC Legislative Update. This is the big one. It's the one after the final budget. The House and Senate passed the final budget yesterday, and it was sent to the governor's desk where it was vetoed this morning. So things are moving fast, and we'll get to that in a minute. First, what did the budget have for state employees? Well, there was 5% pay increase for most state employees over the next 2 years, and 5 days of vacation leave with the stipulations from last year. If you don't remember what those stipulations were, go to the SEANC website and we'll have a one-pager up there for you. For retirees, it's 1% over the next 2 years. It's a one-time supplemental payment because there wasn't money for a COLA, and we'll get to that in a minute too. For non-certified school employees, there was 1% for this year in the budget. That's something that has been an issue SEANC has been very involved in. We were very proud to get bipartisan support for Representative Terrence Everett's bill seeking $15 minimum wage for non-certified school employees, but it wasn't to be this year. We don't have many members who are non-certified school employees right now, and to be very frank with you, we need you in our membership. So if you're seeing this video and you haven't signed up for SEANC, we need you so we can do good things for you. That's pretty much the highlights of the budget. There are some questions that we'll get to the other issues, and we'll do those in a minute. But first I want to say what happens next. The governor vetoing the budget does sort of throw a wrench into things, and it means that the General Assembly, the legislature, has to decide whether or not to seek an override of that veto. If they seek an override, of course, that's a 3/5 majority vote, and it's harder to come by than a straight majority vote. So we will have to see what they decide. I heard earlier today that they will be seeking to look for an override, but we haven't confirmed that yet. In the meantime, people are wondering, so what happens? Do I get my raise? Well, there is a possibility they leave town with no budget. Once there's a veto like we just saw, it could happen that they leave with no budget, and that would mean you don't get a raise, and the other things in the budget don't happen either. If they try to do an override, then depending on if they have the votes, this budget might stand. The governor says he would like to sit down more with the legislature. The legislature says, we've sat down plenty, we can't get a counteroffer. At this point, it's no telling what's going to happen, but SEANC is going to be there, and we will be representing your interests. So let's get to what the questions we've been getting from members off of social media and phone calls into the office. One is, what about the UNC employees? SEANC has a fair number of UNC employee members, and we are concerned about the numbers that are in the budget for UNC right now. It's $15 million in the first year for salaries, $30 million in year 2. Now, $15 million was what was put in there last year, and just like last year, it's up to the Board of Governors of UNC to decide how those would be distributed. Most of our members did get the same raise state employees got last year when the UNC Board of Governors chose to do that. But it remains to be seen if that would happen again. SEANC is staying on that issue. If you work at the university system, please know that we are actively engaged on this issue and will continue to be. The next question, retirees. Why do retirees have to beg for a COLA each and every year? Well, because for almost 2 decades, our retirement system has invested, as SEANC's told you in the past, in some very high risk, but more importantly, high fee investments. And the current treasurer, Dale Falwell, said he wouldn't do that anymore, and he cut that off, but most of these contracts were 10-year contracts. How does that affect you? The way that retirement COLAs were paid for in the past was gains in the system. So basically, money that we made on our investments. That's not been there for years now. So to go to the General Assembly for a COLA, retirees are fighting not only with money that the General Assembly is using for active employee raises, teacher raises, but anything else any lobbyist wants out of the general fund, and it's made for an impossible situation. So we've tried to get creative, and do what we could. And this year, retirees ended up with the 0.5% each year. I understand that that is not what any retiree is looking for after all of their years of dedicated service, and we always want to see that improve. But it is important to remember there was not a retiree COLA in either the House or Senate budget, so to end up with one in the final budget was a victory, was a huge victory. And as far as next year, we'll see if we can increase that number. DHHS employees have a question. The ones who are located in Wake County are being moved to Granville County, and that is something we're getting questions about, something we've been very active about in the media. SEANC is opposed to moving DHHS to Granville County, and there's, that ended up in the budget, so it's going to happen. And similarly, you might remember DMV announced plans to move to Nash County. That was supported by the governor, the senator, the leader of the Senate and the leader of the House. And so you had the governor and the legislature approving moving a state agency out of Wake County to another county, and that kind of opened Pandora's box, and that's the situation we're in with DHHS. So we will, again, we're not done fighting on that issue either. It is in the budget, but we're hopeful to convince folks that that's not a good idea. And those are the main questions we've been getting. If you have a question, please submit it. You can always, and we encourage you to always go to our Twitter, Facebook, or our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that way you can keep up to date on anything happening in the legislature or anywhere else in state government.